We're here at Let Your Voice Be Heard, and hopefully I don't chop the name again. Twyanna. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
And we're going to start with a prayer. So, Father, in the name of Jesus, we pray that Twanna's story will help touch other people's hearts and that they will find some inspiration in it. And we are looking to help educate other people about our illness now. And we thank you for everything that you do. You are such an awesome God. So please let the story touch others in their hearts for informing, educating, and inspiring. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Well, go ahead and introduce yourself, and let's tell us your story of your illness and what it is and what you have and so forth.
Okay. Well, my name is Twyanna. I am a mother of 2 girls and 1 granddaughter. I was diagnosed with RSD in 1998 in the summer. It was the result of torn tendons and ligaments in my right ankle. So I went through that surgery and then went, and I went to therapy and everything looked wonderful, and I woke up one morning and my ankle was like 5 sizes larger than it should have been.
Yeah.
Not a lot of pain at that time, but it was very swollen. So I called the orthopedic doctor back, and he had me come in, of course, and his first thing was it was so swollen he really didn't know what to do with it. No x-rays or anything, he just put it in a cast. As we know now, that was not the best thing to do. So he kept it in the cast for 6 weeks, which we know, now you would never let anyone put a cast on your affected limbs.
Right.
But he put the cast on for 6 weeks, and I went in at 3 weeks, and he took it off, and it was still swollen. And of course, I could tell him because I could feel the pressure, and I knew it was still swollen. So he put it right back on. Then the next 3 weeks, he decided that, let me x-ray it, and let's do an MRI. It wasn't until he did the x-rays with the contrast that he figured out that it was the RSD. Well, by that time, I had been in the cast for 6 weeks, and I had been in the boot for another 3 months.
Wow.
And it took him almost 5 to 6 months before he really gave me a diagnosis. And of course, at that time, I had never heard of this, didn't know, anything about it. It was so early in the internet days that, I didn't even know if it would come up. But it did come up when I went into the internet at that time, and it did come up. So my next step was to go to a pain specialist. I had the best pain specialist for several years, for many years. So I have been through everything. So from the ankle swelling that morning to the diagnosis 6 months later, and then going to this pain specialist for some nerve blocks. That's where they started me, nerve blocks. And the first nerve block really did work. It helped for 9 weeks. I will always remember that. That 9 weeks had been the best that I had in a very long time. But it wore off very quickly.
Hello.
It wore off very after. Hi, it's Jane.
Hi, Jane. Thank you for coming.
Okay, hi, everyone. Hi, Jane. So after going to the pain doctor and having the first nerve blocks done, and they worked for a while, and then he did another one, and they didn't work. So he decided to stop doing this. And now at this time, I'm living in Maryland. So I was at Holy Cross Hospital, and I got very good care from this pain management doctor. This is where I got my first spinal cord stimulator. When the disease is...
I just wanted to ask, right before that period, is your foot still swollen, and did it have like multicolors or anything?
Well, with the darker skin, there wasn't a lot of multicolor, there was a lot of sensitivity. And so we started to go back to therapy again. Well, I really couldn't have them. Where the incision was the most tender and really could not stand for anyone to touch. I did very early on lose all the hair on that leg. There was no more hair nest and never has been since. The swelling was it was just horrible. The swelling was just horrible. And then you walking around, people say, oh, you need to put your feet up, and so you get so tired of hearing that. Well, you know what? If I put my feet up, when I get up again, it's going to do the exact same thing.
Exactly.
It's not going to go away.
That's right, and it doesn't go away when we put our feet up either.
It does, exactly. So now this RSD has spread it's basically waist down, both sides. And it also has gotten into my left arm.
I'm sorry.
So my treatments that I've had over all these years, I had 2 spinal cord stimulators, which have been removed. The first one worked beautifully. When they put the second one in, they were working both fine. And then I started getting, the first time I was on the highway and a truck passed me, and one of them just popped on by itself. Wow. I was like, what was that? So I took out my little remote control. And you have to realize the spinal cord stimulators now are much better than the one I had in 99. And so these things kept popping on when they wanted to.
Tell us a little bit about what that spinal cord stimulator is.
Well, the spinal cord stimulator is is implanted usually in your lower hip, on the affected side, so that it can send the signals that your brain is not getting. That is supposed to send the signal to the brain so that you will have less pain. Now, it never did anything for my swelling, but it did take away the pain. Now, when I think back on it, I'm always wondering, does it really take away the pain, or does this sensation just make you think of something else? So you're thinking that you're not in pain. I've always asked myself that, because once I had them taken out, I've been asked by a couple of other doctors to let them put the newer models in, and I'm like, no. It just was not for me. Now, I know some people in some of the groups on Facebook or whatever, they get very good results from them. I had mine for about 4.5 years, and the beginning results for about 1.5 years were really good, and then from then on it just downhill. And it wasn't taking the pain away. It wasn't even making me think that the vibrations that I was feeling was taking the pain away. It just wasn't doing anything. It was more annoying than anything else. But in the beginning, it was good. And I know that there are a lot of people that use these, and they have very good progress with them. I did not. After about 5.5 years, I did not. So I had mine removed.
Okay.
And I did have the medicine pump implanted as well, which, of course, that's going to keep drugs flowing through your system, and you're not going to feel the pain. My problem with that was I was raising 2 girls, and I could not be on medication like that. I found myself one day sleeping at a stop sign, and I was like, wait, something is wrong here. So I had to stop that, and then eventually get that taken out as well. I thought, let's see, this is 2016, let's say about 2012 to mid-2014, I thought it had disappeared. I thought it was in remission, whatever, I was not as bad as I had been before or as I am now. So I would say I was in remission. A little swelling, a little burning, but nothing like now. And so I thought I was in remission, and then I moved to Texas to take a position, and all of a sudden, it was back again. I guess the weather change, altitude change, whatever it was, it just sent my body into this frenzy with the RSD, and I was swollen from my ankles up to my knees on both sides, the burning pain, the sweating. Not a lot, like I said, not a lot of discoloration,
Wow.
And all the skin broke all the way up the leg. Now, that was last summer that started. Summer before last, I'm sorry. I've been back in Maryland for about a year and a half now. But it is just now clearing up, and I see a lot of people that have these lesions. And excuse me for coughing, I don't know what got in my throat.
Okay.
But I'm going to take a sip of water here.
Yeah,
just give me one
please
second.
do. Matter of fact, I was thinking the same thing. I didn't want to disturb the call.
Okay, let's see if that'll help me a little bit. So I've had the lesions, and they were pretty bad. So you go from your pain management to your dermatologist for these things. Now, after joining a lot of Facebook groups and chatting with other people, I see where a lot of people have not only RSD, but a lot of other problems. And unfortunately for me, I don't have that yet. The RSD seems to be plenty enough for me to handle.
When you say other problems, you're talking about other illnesses on top of that?
Other illnesses on top of it. So I always wondered, I've asked for quite a few, a lot of times, a lot of people they were much more active in their younger lives than I was, so that you could see why they may have some of the other things that they have. I was just diagnosed with the spinal stenosis and some arthritis in my spinal column as well. My main problem is the RSD. Everything else comes with age. I just had my 60th birthday.
Yay! Happy birthday.
So I'm just, going through. But I've tried to, I've journaled a lot of my journey with RSD. Now, my thing is, when I first got diagnosed, I was in my late 30s. And I didn't really pay it that much attention. I had this one ankle that was always swollen, but it didn't hurt the way, it didn't have the same effect on me then as it does now.
Right.
And I don't know if that makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
I don't know whether it was my mindset or whatever, but when it first started, it was more annoying than painful.
I went through the
If
same
you can
thing.
understand that. Okay.
Yep. And I didn't even know I had RSD a year before I was actually diagnosed with it. The second time I had the other injury on the other ankle, I was the same as you. I had to sit in a chair. I couldn't hardly do anything because the foot was so swollen like a football, if plus not more. And I had multicolors, and it was difficult to do anything.
Exactly.
I was wondering with your spinal stenosis. I also have spinal stenosis, and I find that my complex regional pain syndrome, they sort of go hand in hand because CRPS also goes through your spinal cord.
Right.
So, and with the spinal stenosis, it's the same thing. And I find that in the morning time, especially for me, if I'm trying to get up, it's very difficult. It takes me at least 2 hours to move because it's like, okay, you're laying down flat. Well, now I got to try to sit up. Well, I can't sit up completely. I have to take it in steps, like move myself a little bit off the pillow and stop for a while. Then take another step in a little while because the pain is so intense and the sensations going through my body. Do you experience a lot of that?
I experience the same thing, and I try to get up maybe an hour before the house starts moving. Everybody else has to get up and go to work. And I do, right now, still take care of my 15-month-old granddaughter every day.
Wow.
It's getting harder and harder for me.
Yes.
My daughter doesn't understand that it's getting harder and harder for me. But
I understand.
I understand what you're saying because sometimes you just cannot move out of the bed. You have to do it in steps.
Yes.
I used to try to take some Advil an hour before I really had to get up. Just to knock the little, because it's not going to do so much, but it knocks enough of the edge off to help me.
That's what I have to do when I wake up. Yes. First thing, I have to take an opiate, and still the opiate, it takes a while to get in your system. So an hour later, I'm still trying to move. I'm so sorry.
And sometimes my daughter will come home from work and she'll say, "You look like that when I left. I'm still in my robe." Yeah, because this is as much as I could do today.
That's right.
And take care of your baby.
And that's right. It's a challenge. Hard. And I'm proud of you. I'm very proud of you doing what you're doing. I know that it gets difficult because with my grandson, I can't do it. I can't be alone with him because my illness sometimes, I can't move. When they're like 2 years old, they're starting to move everywhere. I can't keep up with them. And on top of that, because of my sleeping habits, sometimes I don't sleep all night. So if I go to take care of them, this is a situation that happened one time. Everybody left me with them, and so I fell asleep when he took his nap. Praise God, he didn't wake up and get out of the crib. But
isn't that something?
I would have felt guilty if something would have happened. I would have never forgiven myself.
Exactly, and that's what I try to explain to my daughter.
I don't do it now.
I just don't want to keep her, and that's not it. I would keep her till she started school, but it just gets harder and harder for me.
Yep.
And just like you say, those sleepless nights when they come in here 7 o'clock for me to, get up and get ready to take care of her, I just want the sleepest experience. So,
Yep. Maybe
it's not going to be a very good day.
Yep. Maybe you could work out something with them and just tell them. Maybe find a baby, like a babysitter that'd be willing to work with you guys for the mornings. So she came in and said, "Hey, I'm leaving." Say, "I'm sorry, today is not the day. I can't do this." And so she could take the baby to a babysitter for that day, so you could rest. So maybe that might be something that you guys can work out or something, maybe. I'm not sure. But
actually, that's exactly what we're working on right now.
Okay.
That's exactly what we're working on right now, because she sees that some days I'm just not able to do that. And I said, one day I had to tell her, "You can't go to work because I can't do it. I can't even get up."
Yep.
So.
And I'm with you. I understand that completely.
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
But I would love to keep her, forever if I could. But,
I understand.
With my back and my legs, and it's just so exhausting, especially when you don't get to sleep at night.
Yep. And nothing's more precious to us than our grandbabies. There's something about, we have kids. Okay, we have kids, and we love them and that, but our grandbabies, they are
that's totally
out of the world.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. Exactly. So I've been getting, let's see, I've had 3 lumbar nerve blocks in the, let's see, since, what was the first one? This is April, so maybe in March. So now, I go into March, she's going to do not tomorrow, Wednesday, I'm sorry, and she's going to do a diagnosis to see how I'm doing, because she wants to, this pain management doctor wants to do, I don't even know what it's really called, but I guess it's the severing of the nerve in my back, where the pain is. She wants to get that part out.
So she actually wants to go in and cut the nerves, or is it like an RF?
It's a laser. It's like a laser cut.
Okay.
Radioactive laser or something like that.
Wow.
So I'm not really sure about it, but if it's going to give me some relief, then I'm going to go through with it on Wednesday.
Yeah, I can understand that.
So I'll have to let you know how that goes.
Yeah, please do, because one of the things about these doctors and our treatments is they're very invasive, most of them. And the one thing is, we have to choose as patients. Can we live with the pain, or do we be sort of like experimented on? Will it work?
And I always do feel like that guinea pig. I always do feel like that guinea pig.
Yeah, because we don't know if they're going to work, and just because it worked on one doesn't mean it'll work on another.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The doctor that I was seeing in Texas said to me, "You're such a difficult case. Most people we can give the narcos to, and give them some Celebrex or something like that, and they're good.
Mm-hmm.
But nothing is working for you." I said, "Because we're all different. This affects us in so many different ways."
Mm-hmm. So how have you found the doctors and a lot of the doctors to react to you with complex regional pain syndrome?
I have been lucky. I've heard a lot of horror stories, but I have been very, very lucky when I went to Texas, I was able to find a doctor, and he was right on it. He knew what I was going through. He was able to get all my medical records from the East Coast, and it was very good. Came back and went back to my old doctors and a couple of new ones, and they're pretty much up on it, but I've heard some really hard stories that, people, their doctors don't even know what it is. They never heard of it. Now, I've had to go to the emergency room, and I had a fall in September in the middle of the street. Now, that's what my legs will do for me. It'll just give out. They don't do it often, but you never know when it's going to happen. So this was in the middle of the street, a busy street, too. And when I fell, I tried to break my fall. So I tore all the tendons and ligaments in my fingers on my right hand.
I'm sorry.
And when I went to the orthopedic doctor, you know how you make that a follow-up appointment if your hand's not feeling better. And you go in to the emergency room, they send you somewhere else. Well, when I went to that follow-up appointment, this orthopedic doctor knew about RSD, and he said, "Is this affected with your RSD?" He was looking down my medical records and the notes, and I said, "Well, not yet." And he said, "Well, I'm going to try to fix this so it's not. So I'm not going to do surgery, but I do have to put it in the cast." I was in the cast for like 8 weeks. He said to keep from doing surgery, because he said if I open it up, the RSD will probably sneak in there. Which I really appreciated, because most doctors would have said, "I need to fix these tendons, and I'm going to go in and, I have to cut it and go in and,
Right.
And he worked with me, and it really helped, because once I finished the 6 weeks of therapy with him after the cast came off, the hand is pretty good. It's pretty good. I don't see any signs of RSD. It gets stiff, but that's to be expected after you have an injury like that. But it's not, it doesn't have the sensory problems or any of that. So I'm hoping that it just did not get into that hand. I did find that these doctors are becoming more and more educated with the RSD. Because I also, with my lesions this summer here on the East Coast, I had to go to a dermatologist, and he knew exactly what it was, and he just told me why I was getting these lesions. And that was the first time I had a dermatologist tell me why I was getting these lesions and what medication was going to keep them from coming on. And he was true to his word, because the lesion is really gone. They're gone, and they don't seem to be coming back. But yes, I do have to use medication on them every day.
What type of medication did he give you for that?
He gave me it's a steroid, and I can't even pronounce the name of it.
Okay.
It's a little tube. And some of these things that I guess you give it to people with eczema or whatever. And let's see here. It is, I will spell it for you.
Okay.
Let's start over. SLUOVINOLONE ointment. First Conazole. I'm sorry? Can you spell it again? One more time. Okay. F as in Frank, LUOVINOLONE Okay.
Well, I'm glad that it's helping you out.
Now, I'm sorry?
I'm glad that it's helping you.
It is. It's working for me. Now, I don't know. I haven't spoken to anyone else that uses it.
Mm-hmm.
And to see if if it works for them or not, because I know everything doesn't work for everybody.
Right. Right.
What did they say your lesions were from? From the swelling. And that the skin has been swelling for so long that it's very thin, and so it just breaks open into these sores. So when I'm in a flare and it's really swollen, it will tend to press on that skin, or stretch that skin more and more. That skin is so thin from all these years of swelling, day after day after day, that it's so thin that these lesions will pop, out. And I guess that's maybe the last layer of the skin that's still there, because I can actually see on my foot where some of the skin is really, really thin. And even if I go get a pedicure, I've had the lady say, I'm not going to touch that. There's no skin there. And I guess, they would know. I'm thinking, no skin there, but now I can see the difference in the affected part. If I look at one part of the foot and then look at the other, I can see, you can tell that the skin is different from the rest of the foot. And so I guess that's what they mean by the skin being so thin. But he says it comes from the swelling.
So does that sort of, before it pops and that, does that sort of look like atrophy? Where the skin caves in?
Yes, before it pops, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That's exactly what it looks like. What did the lesions look like? The lesions on me actually look like, how can I describe them? They look like some sort of infection, like the skin got scraped off and then infection set in. But what they really look like is like you had a fall and you got the skin scraped off, and now it's trying to heal, but infection got set into it. Does that make sense? Yeah, that's basically what the lesions look like. And big or small? All sizes. Oh, wow. Okay. The largest one I had was the size of a quarter.
Wow.
And the worst outbreak was like a year and a half ago, and it was, I must have had the inside of the ankle almost to the calf of my leg. There were about 8 lesions there. And it was very painful, because those come with pain as well, their own pain. And it just wasn't very pretty to look at either. Now, some people's lesions really, I've seen pictures of them really breaking open and oozing. Mine did not really break open that much where they ooze any type of infection or anything, but you could see that there was something definitely wrong. So that's been one of my, besides the burning pain and the sensitivity with the RSD, that's been one of the worst parts of it. But I was glad that I found someone that could get it under control. And it doesn't spread up like it does, like it did. But it does come back.
You said that at one time that you were, let's go back a little bit to where you said that you were in remission, that you thought you were in remission. Tell us a little bit about what that was like.
What that was like was my mind did not even go to the fact that I had this illness. So when I'm saying that I was in remission, I had stiffness in the joint. I did not have swelling. Now, well, let me step back a little. I thought I did not have swelling. People would still say to me, oh, yeah, your ankle is swollen, but it was so small compared to what it had been that I never paid it any, to me. It's like, oh, this going away. So, my ankle's getting down to the normal size, and, my foot can fit in a shoe. I can actually wear a shoe, not just a flip-flop.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking I'm in remission. I didn't have when if I had to walk somewhere, sometimes I'll once I get back in the house and get off of my legs, I don't know if you experience this, but it's just really the burning and crushing pain because I've been out. Yeah, so I wasn't getting that. And I went months and months and months without getting that. And then I had a gymnast. My daughter was a gymnast, so we were traveling and we were everywhere. And I was not having any of the RSD flares at all. And that went on for about a year and a half, yeah. Mm-hmm. And I really thought I was in remission, and I was, was doing good. And then all of a sudden, I moved to Texas to take a job, and that was that. Weather changed, and it was just all over.
So it changed because of the climate, or did it change because of another injury, or what do you think made it change?
I think it was the climate. The climate changed because I left here in February, which is winter time, and I went to Texas, where it was about 70 degrees when I got there in February, and it took about 2 weeks before I noticed that it was starting to swell again. It started with the swelling, and then the burning started. And, then I realized, wait a minute, something's happening here. This stuff is coming back. But then, it had moved over into the left leg. So I'm watching the left leg, which was not affected as quickly as the right leg was when I moved to Texas, because the injury started in the right leg. So,
what part of Texas?
I was in San Antonio.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of times people don't realize that complex regional pain syndrome can spread, and a lot of doctors don't believe that it spreads. And one of the things that I find with some of the doctors, I feel that yes, they have a textbook. They might have a textbook or learn something about it somewhere, but learning it in a book and dealing with that patient and realizing that patient is different than any other patient, and we can be different than what the textbook actually says because we're so different. And the disease affects us so different, each one of us, that we can't be categorized into this box.
We cannot.
We're not a box.
We cannot. At all.
We're not
a box at all.
Right. Right.
Is that why you moved back to Maryland? Because it was worse here?
No. I actually just moved back to Maryland to help with my 87-year-old mother. That's how I moved back. Which I haven't been able to do much of because I'm sick myself, though. That's why I came back to Maryland. I would have stayed in... I liked my doctors better in Texas. I think because I was living in San Antonio, which is a really big military state, military city, that medical care just seemed to be a little bit better and more progressive. So I do miss that part of it.
Did you know Maria Martinez?
I'm in a group with her, but when they started doing meetups and things, I was already leaving, so I never got to really meet her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'll be going back soon for a visit, so I plan on meeting up with her when I do go back.
What
She talks about that all the time, about how because it's a military area, that the care is so much better.
It is so much better. It's so much better. I came here and I went to my pain management doctor who wanted me to get the ketamine treatment.
Yeah.
Infusions, and she sent me to a doctor at GW. I saw that doctor, and she said, yes, that's what you need. We need to try to see if that's going to work for you. That was I think that was in November of the last year, and then my appointment wasn't until November. It took a year before I could get leave me yet because the day that I went for my treatment, someone messed up and my name had been taken off the book.
Wow.
It was horrible. That was a horrible experience.
I just heard from someone this week that lives in Ohio, and they're having to wait 9 months to get an appointment. And it's not even for ketamine. It's just a doctor appointment.
Wow. Now, you can get the doctor's appointments, but you surely cannot get the infusion appointment here.
Yeah.
Now I'm scheduled for May.
Wow.
Of this year?
May of this year. Next month, yes.
Yeah.
The end of next month.
Okay.
So I'm calling the office every other day just to make sure I'm still on the book.
There you
Good
go.
for you.
Yeah, because I don't want that to happen to me again. At all.
What have
Yeah.
you learned? What have you learned to cope with your illness?
Well, let's see. Now I'm learning that when I'm in a flare, I need to rest. I used to just continue to go. I worked and worked and worked for years. I would go and my legs would be, I felt like I was dragging my legs because they were so swollen. And I would not take off because as soon as you start taking off a job, and I was a contract worker. I always worked on contract. And, I didn't want to lose the contract just because, I didn't feel well that day. That happened to be a bad day. But as time went on, I learned that if I don't, when I wake up and I'm struggling to get out of bed and I'm already swollen, I need to cut back and just make that a me day. I need to rest and relax. And that is my only coping mechanism right now. I just kind of shut myself in my room with the door closed. And, no one understands, why if you get up, of course everybody's thinking, if you get up and go out, you'll feel better. No, I won't. No, I won't. I'll feel worse. So I have to let this pass before I can,
People don't understand that.
They don't understand that. They always say that you need to get up and move around. You need to do this. No, none of that helps. That makes it worse.
Yep.
So, I tend to just, relax a lot and, just try to just put myself in a zone where I'm only thinking about me and what's going to make me feel better.
What have you done to reinvent yourself?
I'm sorry?
What have you done to reinvent yourself?
Well, I started reaching out to others with RSD, and I just started digging deeper into Facebook. I never knew all these different groups were available on Facebook for people to talk to bounce things off of, and that has really helped me. So I started my own group as a fun group. I try to keep all the negativity out of this group, even though we had something that flare up not too long ago. But I just started a fun group because I was making little cards and sending them out to people, and people would say how nice that was and how it made them feel they were having a bad day. So now I do things on a bigger scale. I send out a lot of RSD charms, bracelets. I do drawings for certain things. I'll post it and I'll say, okay, this, I did teddy bears last week or week before last. I had 4 teddy bears that I dressed up in orange tutus. They had RSD necklaces on. They had bows in their hair. Everything was RSD that they had on. And I kind of raffled them off. You had to put your name in the drawing only by just, adding your name to the post. And I put all the names in a jar and pulled out 4 people that won the bears, and they just really, they were excited to win the bears, but the posts that were put up once the bears reached their homes, you could really tell they appreciated them.
That is awesome.
But I did the bears, I've done necklaces, I've done mugs, I've done charms, and I just try to keep the group lively. We do a lot of trivia. If you answer the trivia question, we might do a drawing for, sometimes I send gift cards, just, I hear people saying, I don't have any money to do groceries or, everything is tight. And sometimes I'll get a $25 gift card and send it out to that person if I can.
awesome.
Yeah, people have just, noticed the group, and then I have friends that follow me that are not affected with the disease, but they know what I'm going through, and they started, sending me donations, $25 here, and I have one friend, she says, I'll just go out and spend it on myself, so I'll just send you $100 so you can make somebody else. So it just helps me keep it going.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just trying to build on that and just, be that one to have, and then I had another girl in the group, she called me one, she IM'd me one day, can I please help? She said, I can go out and buy little gifts, and so we just bounce off of each other.
Mm-hmm.
I'll send her a message and say, let's give away 4 things, you do 2, and I'll do 2.
It's awesome.
So we do, so we got a group, started out a group of 45 people, now it's up to 215 people.
Wow.
What's the name of it?
It's just called RSD. Let me give you the right name. Hold on. My tablet doesn't want to act right today. What's going on here? Alright, now let's see if we can get that to come up. It is called... Here we go. RSD, CRPS/CRPS, giveaways and fun.
Awesome.
CRPS, giveaways and what?
And fun.
Oh, okay.
Well, we only have 3 minutes left. So let me ask you this.
Okay.
What kind of advice would you give to a newbie?
Wow. To a newbie, I always tell people listen to your body because we don't know all the ins and outs of what can really be affected when you're diagnosed with this.
Mm-hmm.
And, you should know your body pretty well because people will say that the doctors tell them it doesn't spread, and we know it does.
Mm-hmm.
And if you feel that, this is moving or you're feeling some burning or something that you haven't felt in one limb that you already knew was in the other, have it checked out. Have it checked out. And I always tell them, don't be afraid to ask questions. You have to ask questions, and that way you will learn, and maybe your provider will learn as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of, like we said, these providers, some of them don't really know what's going on. I always tell them, remain positive. You have to try to stay positive. If you get into one of those depressed states, you got to have that fallback person that you can call. And because you may not even know why you're feeling depressed. But you got to have that fallback person that you can call, and they can help talk you through things. And that's what a lot of these groups have done for me. Because you can put a question out there, and you get so much good information and so much positive feedback.
So true.
So that's what I've learned.
Well, I want to thank you so much for being on the show and coming and telling your story. I really appreciate it. And I really pray that somebody will be blessed by your story and that. And you're doing some great things. I thank you so much.
I'm trying.
You are.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
And Jane, I want to thank you for coming also. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Yes.
We'll get together about the other things later.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll
Perfect. Perfect.
We'll get together tomorrow and we'll talk about it.
That sounds great.
Great.
That sounds great.
All right.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you. I love you guys. You guys have a great night.
Okay, you too.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.